Hi, my name is Maria. Today I am going to demonstrate how to create a simple mosaic. In your mosaic kit, you received a 4" by 4" ceramic tile. This side is the shiny side or the glazed side. That's the top of your tile. The back side is rough. We will be creating our mosaic on the back, the rough side, the unglazed side of the tile. You also received a bag of mosaic materials. In this case, we'll be using stained glass and mirror. You received a bag of thin set. Thin set is a mortar-based tile adhesive. This is what we will be using to glue our mosaic to our ceramic tile. You also received a bag of black sanded grout. Grout is the colored stuff that goes in between the tiles after the mosaic is dry. Set this aside. That's the last step of creating our mosaic. We'll get to that in our next video. All right, let's get started. Have fun as you are creating your mosaic. I want to show you some examples of some finished mosaics. These are pieces that were created by my daughters when they were 6 and 8 years old. Notice the repeating patterns of color. Also notice the addition of mirror and how that adds a really nice sparkle. The black grout really makes the colors pop out. Now, even though these are very simple designs, they still look very, very beautiful. This is a mosaic that I created inspired by string quilts. This is also a very simple design. If you look, you'll notice it is just a whole series of long, thin rectangles put together in different color patterns. It's the repetition that gives it its interest. And one more inspired by a quilt. As you can see, I used white triangles and a colored triangle created to make a square. Another very simple pattern, but the repetition really gives it a lot of life. There are many different supplies you can use to make a mosaic. We have ceramic tiles. We have pieces of dishes. We also have stained glass. I have a tool called a lappanet wheeled nipper. This is the tool that I use to cut most of my supplies. This is a strip of stained glass. All I do is I put my tool in the middle and squeeze. This allows me to get really small pieces very, very quickly. It can also be used to cut a piece of ceramic tile by putting it in the middle and squeezing. And my very favorite is to use this tool to cut dishes. This is a plate. Again, I put my lappanet wheeled nippers in the middle and squeeze. This tool is easy to find on the internet. If you decide you would like to pursue this as a hobby, I highly recommend buying this tool. It is my favorite. Today I'm going to be demonstrating using a variety of stained glass. All right, let's get started. Go ahead and dump out your bag of supplies. Spread them out. Get a good look. Now, what I like to do before I start to glue is just pull out pieces that inspire me. I'm really drawn to bright colors. I like wild shapes. As you create your mosaic, you want to just lay out different ideas that you have. Experiment. Move your colors around. What you need to do after you get a little bit done is to step back and throw your eyes out of focus. Okay, so you can see how I'm just building off one area and going to another as I go. When we make a mosaic, we don't want to do this. We don't want to glue a piece here, a piece there, and there, and there, and then spend the rest of our time trying to fill in around it. So it's up to you whether you want to start in a corner and work your way out, or if you'd rather start in the middle and work your way out, or start at an edge. It's really up to you. So as I'm going along, I'm kind of enjoying having these little splashes of yellow show up in my mosaic and moving them around. I want to add a little green. Now you'll notice that I am placing my tiles very, very close together. You do not want to have large spaces in between your tiles. Sometimes people are afraid that there won't be room for grout, but trust me, there will be room for grout. So we don't want to do that. We want our pieces to be so close they almost touch. Now another thing I noticed that I did here is I started right there, which will make it really hard to find pieces that are thin enough to fit on my edge. So what I would do instead is just slide that all the way over to my edge, just because it makes it easier for me as I go along. Now included in your kit is your bag of Thinset, your mortar-based tile adhesive. Now you always want to keep a little bit of dry powder back when you mix it up, so that if you accidentally add too much water, you can add a little bit more powder to thicken it. So as you can see, I have Thinset in my cup, and I have a little bit of water in another cup. I am just going to add a small amount at a time and use my stirring stick to stir it together. I want this to be the consistency of frosting. Now, not a runny frosting, just frosting. So that is too dry and crumbly. So I will add a little bit more water. Once you mix your Thinset, it needs to be used within probably about 20 or 30 minutes. If you need to walk away for a minute, set something on top of it to prevent it from drying out too rapidly. Also, as you're going, keep giving it some good stirs. That keeps it from setting up too quickly. Okay, so I'm getting really close with this, but I think it's still just a little too thick. Now notice, I'm just adding the smallest bit of water at a time. It happens to me so often where I add too much because I'm in a hurry. Oh, that's looking wonderful. All right, now the way I like to glue my mosaic is to get a little bit of Thinset on the back of my palette knife, just like this. And then I pick up my pieces and I put Thinset on them one piece at a time. Now you can see that I added kind of a little blob. You want enough Thinset on that it squishes out the sides, but does not come up over the top. So you can see that. I'm going to turn it for you. You can see how it comes out around the sides, but it does not come up over the top. I'm going to grab my next piece and again, butter the back of that. And then as I glue it down, I'm putting it really close to that one. Now, if you decide as you're going, oh, I hate that piece there, I need to move it, just pick it up, add a little bit of fresh Thinset, and you can re-glue it. If you just slide it and move it, it might not stick as well. So that's something that I always do, just for a little bit of insurance to my piece. You will do this until your mosaic is completed. All right, so go ahead and have fun. Like I said, experiment, to try different patterns and different layouts, and most of all, have fun. When your piece is dry, when your piece is done, you need to allow it to dry for at least 24 hours before you grout the finished piece.